What?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Today is April 19th, 2025. The last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. If you turn to page 74 of your complete Jewish Bible, we will start the reading with Exodus 13:17 through 15:26. After Pharaoh had let the people go, God did not guide them to the highway that goes to the land of the Philistines, because it was close by. God thought that the people, upon seeing war, might change their minds and return to Egypt. Rather, God led the people by a roundabout route through the desert by the Sea of Suff. The people of Israel went up from the land of Egypt fully armed.
Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the people of Israel swear an oath when he said, God will certainly remember you, and you are to carry my bones up with you away from here.
They traveled from Sukkot and set up camp at Edom, at the edge of the desert. Adonai went ahead of them in a column of cloud during the daytime to lead them on their way, and at night in a column of fire to give them light. Thus they could travel both by day and by night. Neither the column of cloud by day nor the column of fire at night went away from in front of the people.
Adonai said to Moses, tell the people of Israel to turn around and set up camp in front of Pi Asherat, between Migdol and the sea, in front of Baal Zephon, camp opposite it by the sea. Then Pharaoh will say that the people of Israel are wandering aimlessly in the countryside. The desert has closed in on them. I will make Pharaoh so hard-hearted that he will pursue them. Thus I will win glory for myself at the expense of Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will realize at last that I am Adonai. The people did as ordered.
When the king of Egypt was told that the people had fled, Pharaoh and his servants had a change of heart toward the people. They said, what have we done, letting Israel stop being our slaves? So he prepared his chariots and took his people with him. He took 600 first-quality chariots, as well as all the other chariots in Egypt, along with their commanders. Adonai made Pharaoh hard-hearted, and he persuaded the people of Israel as they left boldly. The Egyptians went after them. All the horses and chariots of Pharaoh, with his cavalry and army, and overtook them as they were encamped by the sea, by Pi Hahiroth, and in front of Baal Zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and saw the Egyptians right there coming after them. In great fear, the people of Israel cried out to Adonai and said to Moses, was it because there weren't enough graves in Egypt that you brought us out to die in the desert? Why have you done this to us, bringing us out of Egypt? Didn't we tell you in Egypt to let us alone? We'll just go on being slaves for the Egyptians? It would be better for us to be the Egyptian slaves than to die in the desert. Moses answered the people, stop being so fearful. Remain steady, and you will see how Adonai is going to save you. He will do it today. Today you have seen the Egyptians, but you will never see them again. Adonai will do battle for you. Just calm yourselves down.
Adonai asked Moses, why are you crying to me? Tell the people of Israel to go forward. Lift your staff, reach out with your hand over the sea, and divide it in two. The people of Israel will advance into the sea on dry ground. As for me, I will make the Egyptians hard-hearted, and they will march in after them. Thus I will win glory for myself at the expense of Pharaoh and all his army, chariots and cavalry. Then the Egyptians will realize that I am Adonai, when I have won myself glory at the expense of Pharaoh, his chariots, and his cavalry.
Next, the angel of God, who was going ahead of the camp of Israel, moved away and went behind them. And the column of cloud moved away from in front of them and stood behind them. It stationed itself between the camp of Egypt and the camp of Israel. There was cloud and darkness here, but light by night there, so that the one did not come near the other all night long.
Moses reached his hand out over the sea, and Adonai caused the sea to go back before a strong east wind all night. He made the sea become dry land, and its water was divided in two. Then the people of Israel went into the sea on the dry ground, with the water walled up for them on their right and on their left.
The Egyptians continued their pursuit, going after them into the sea. All Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and cavalry. Just before dawn, Adonai looked out on the Egyptian army through the column of fire and cloud and threw them into a panic. He caused the wheels of their chariots to break off, so that they could move only with difficulty. The Egyptians said, Adonai is fighting for Israel against the Egyptians. Let's get away from them.
Adonai said to Moses, "Reach your hand out over the sea, and the water will return to cover the Egyptians with their chariots and cavalry." And Moses reached his hand out over the sea, and by dawn the sea had returned to its former depth. The Egyptians tried to flee, but Adonai swept them into the sea. The water came back and covered all the chariots and the cavalry of Pharaoh's army who had followed them into the sea. Not even one of them was left. But the people of Israel walked on dry ground in the sea, with the water walled up for them on their right and on their left.
On that day, Adonai saved Israel from the Egyptians. Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the shore. When Israel saw the mighty deed that Adonai had performed against the Egyptians, the people feared Adonai, and they believed in Adonai and in his servant Moses.
Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to Adonai. "I will sing to Adonai, for he's highly exalted. The horse and its rider he threw in the sea. Yah is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation. This is my God, and I will glorify him. My father's God, I will exalt him. Adonai is a warrior. Adonai is his name."
Pharaoh's chariots and his army he hurled into the sea. His elite commanders were drowned in the sea of Suff. The deep waters covered them. They sank to the depths like a stone.
Your right hand, Adonai, is sublimely powerful. Your right hand, Adonai, shatters the foe. By your great majesty you bring down your enemies. You send out your wrath to consume them like stubble.
With a blast from your nostrils, the waters piled up. The waters stood up like a wall. The depths of the sea became firm ground. The enemy said, I will pursue and overtake, divide the spoil and gorge myself on them. I will draw my sword, my hand will destroy them. You blew with your wind, the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters.
Who is like you, Adonai, among the mighty? Who is like you, sublime in holiness, awesome in praises, working wonders?
You reached out with your right hand, the earth swallowed them. In your love, you led the people you redeemed. In your strength, you guided them to your holy abode.
The peoples have heard. They tremble. Anguish takes hold of those living in Pleshette. Then the chiefs of Edom are dismayed. Trepidation seizes the heads of Moab. All those living in Canaan are melted away.
Terror and dread fall on them. By the might of your arm they are still as stone, until your people pass over, Adonai, till the people you purchased pass over.
You will bring them in and plant them on the mountain which is your heritage, the place, Adonai, that you made from abode, the sanctuary, Adonai, which your hands established.
Adonai will reign forever and ever, for the horses of Pharaoh went with his chariots and with his cavalry into the sea. But Adonai brought the sea waters back upon them, while the people of Israel walked on dry land in the midst of the sea.
Also Miriam, the prophet, sister of Aaron, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women went out after her with tambourines, dancing, as Miriam sang to them. Sing to Adonai, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he threw in the sea.
Moses led Israel onward from the Sea of Suf. They went out into the Shur desert. But after traveling 3 days in the desert, they had found no water. They arrived at Marah, but couldn't drink the water there because it was bitter. This is why they called it Marah, bitterness. The people grumbled against Moses and asked, "What are we to drink?" Moses cried to Adonai, and Adonai showed him a certain piece of wood, which, when he threw it into the water, made the water taste good. There, Adonai made laws and rules of life for them, and there he tested them. He said, "If you will listen intently to the voice of Adonai, your God, do what he considers right. Pay attention to his mitzvah and observe his laws. I will not afflict you with any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, because I am Adonai, your healer."
They came to Eliam, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and camped there by the water.
And then we turn to page 184. And at the bottom of the page, we will read Numbers 28:19 through 25.
We don't finish that parashah?
No.
Okay. So what page was that? 185?
184. Numbers 28. No, 19. Next page. I'm sorry, top of the next page. 185.
28:19.
Yeah.
But present an offering made by fire, a burnt offering to Adonai, consisting of 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 male lambs in the first year. They are to be without defect for you, with the grain offering, fine flour mixed with olive oil. Offer 6 quarts for a bull, 4 quarts for a ram, and 2 quarts for each of the 7 lambs. Also a male goat as a sin offering to make atonement for you. You are to offer these in addition to the morning burnt offering, which is the regular burnt offering. In this fashion you are to offer daily for 7 days, the food of the offering made by fire, making a fragrant aroma for Adonai. It is to be offered in addition to the regular burnt offering and its drink offering. On the 7th day you are to have a holy convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work.
And then we turn to page 214, and we will read Deuteronomy 15:19 through 16:17. All the firstborn males in your herd of cattle and in your flock you are to set aside for Adonai your God. You are not to do any work with a firstborn from your herd or shear a firstborn sheep. Each year you and your household are to eat in the presence of Adonai your God, in the place which Adonai will choose. But if it has a defect, is lame or blind, or has some other kind of fault, you are not to sacrifice it to Adonai your God. Rather, eat it on your own property. The unclean and the clean alike may eat it, like the gazelle or the deer. Just don't eat its blood, but pour it out on the ground like water.
Observe the month of Aviv, and keep Passover to Adonai your God. For in the month of Aviv, Adonai your God brought you out of Egypt at night. You are to sacrifice the Passover offering from flock and herd to Adonai your God in the place where Adonai will choose to have his name live. You are not to eat any chametz, which is yeast, with it. For 7 days you are to eat it with matzah, the bread of affliction. For you came out of the land of Egypt in haste. Thus you will remember the day you left the land of Egypt as long as you live. No leaven is to be seen with you anywhere in your territory for 7 days. None of the meat from your sacrifice on the first day is in the evening is to remain all night until morning. You may not sacrifice the Passover offering in just any of the towns that Adonai your God is giving you, but at the place where Adonai your God will choose to have his name live. There is where you are to sacrifice the Passover offering in the evening, when the sun sets at the time of year that you came out of Egypt. You are to roast it and eat it in the place Adonai your God will choose. In the morning you will return and go out to your tents. For 6 days you are to eat matzah. On the 7th day there is to be a festive assembly for Adonai your God. Do not do any kind of work.
You are to count 7 weeks. You are to begin counting 7 weeks from the time you first put your sickle to the standing grain. You are to observe the festival of Shavuot for Adonai your God with a voluntary offering, which you are to give in accordance with the decree to which Adonai your God has prospered you. You are to rejoice in the presence of Adonai your God, you, your sons and your daughters, your male and female slaves, the Levites living in your towns, and the foreigners, orphans, and widows living among you, in the place where Adonai your God will choose to have his name live. Remember that you were a slave in Egypt. Then you will keep and obey these laws.
You are to keep the festival of Sukkot for 7 days after you have gathered the produce of your threshing floor and winepress. Rejoice at your festival, you, your sons and your daughters, your male and female slaves, the Levi and the foreigners, orphans and widows living with you. 7 days you are to keep the festival for Adonai your God in the place Adonai your God will choose, because Adonai your God will bless you in all your crops and in all your work, so you are to be full of joy.
3 times a year all you men are to appear in the presence of Adonai your God in the place which he will choose. At the festival of Matzah, at the festival of Shavuot, and at the festival of Sukkot. They are not to show up before Adonai empty-handed, but every man is to give what he can, in accordance with the blessing Adonai your God has given you. And then we turn to page 359, and we will read 2 Samuel 22:1 through 51.
22:1. In David's time, there was a famine that lasted 3 years. 21:1?
No, 22:1.
Oh, 22:1, I'm sorry. David said the words of this song to Adonai on the day Adonai delivered him from the power of all his enemies and from the power of Shaul. He said, Adonai is my rock, my fortress and deliverer, the God who is my rock, in whom I find shelter, my shield, the power that saves me, my stronghold and my refuge, my Savior. You have saved me from violence. I call on Adonai, who is worthy of praise. I am saved from my enemies.
The death's breakers were closing over me. The floods of Belial terrified me. The ropes of Sheol were wrapped around me. The snares of death lay before me. In my distress I called to Adonai. Yes, I called to my God. Out of his temple he heard my voice, and my cry entered his ears.
Then the earth quaked and shook. The foundations of heaven trembled. They were shaken because he was angry. Smoke arose from his nostrils, and from his mouth devouring fire, with coals blazing from it. He lowered heaven and came down with thick darkness under his feet. He rode on the cherubim and flew. He was seen on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his canopy around him. Thick clouds in the skies, dense with water. From the brightness before him, fiery coals flamed out.
Adonai thundered from heaven. Ha Elyon sounded his voice. He sent out arrows and scattered them. With lightning he routed them. The channels of the sea appeared. The foundations of the world were exposed at Adonai's rebuke, at the blast of breath from his nostrils.
He sent from on high. He took me and pulled me out of the deep water. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from those who hated me, for they were stronger than I. They came against me on my day of calamity, but Adonai was my support.
He brought me out to an open place. He rescued me because he took pleasure in me. Adonai rewarded me for my uprightness. He repaid me because my hands were clean.
For I have kept the ways of Adonai. I have not done evil by leaving my God. For all his rulings were before me. I did not depart from his regulations. I was pure-hearted toward him and kept myself from my sin.
Hence, Adonai repaid me for my uprightness, according to my purity in his view. With the merciful you are merciful. With the champion of purity you are pure. With the honest you are honest. But with the crooked you are cunning. People afflicted you save. But when your eyes are on the haughty, you humble them.
For you, Adonai, are my lamp. Adonai lights up my darkness. With you I can run through the whole troop of men. With my God I can leap a wall.
As for God, his way is perfect. The word of Adonai has been tested by fire. He shields all who take refuge in him. For who is God but Adonai? And who is a rock but our God?
God is my strength and protection. He makes my way go straight. He makes me swift and sure-footed as a deer, and enables me to stand on my high places. He trains my hands for war until my arms can bend a bow of bronze. You give me your shield, which is salvation. Your answers make me great. You lengthen the steps I can take, yet my ankles do not turn.
I pursued my enemies and wiped them out, without turning back until they were destroyed. I destroyed them, crushed them. They can't get up. They have fallen under my feet.
For you braced me with strength for the battle, and bent down my adversaries beneath me. You made my enemies turn their backs in flight, so that I could destroy those who hate me.
They looked, but there was no one to help, even to Adonai, but he didn't answer. I pulverized them like dust on the ground, pounded and stamped on them like mud in the streets.
You also freed me from the quarrels of my people. You kept me to be the head of nations. A people I did not know now serve me. Foreigners come cringing to me. The moment they hear of me, they obey me. Foreigners lose heart as they stagger from their fortresses.
Adonai is alive. Blessed is my rock. Exalted be God, the rock of my salvation, the God who gives me vengeance and makes peoples submit to me. He brings me out from my enemies. You raise me over those who repel against me. You rescue me from violent men.
So I give thanks to Adonai among the nations. I will sing praises to your name. He is a tower of salvation for his king. He displays grace to his anointed, to David and his descendants forever.
And then we turn to page 453, and we start with Isaiah 10:32 to 12:6. This very day he will stop at no. He will shake his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, at the hill of Jerusalem. See how Adonai Elohim Zabaoth lops off the branches with terrible violence. The ones standing highest are chopped down, the lofty are laid low. He will hack down the forest underbush with an axe, and the Lebanon in its splendor falls.
But a branch will emerge from the trunk of Jesse. A shoot will grow from his roots. The spirit of Adonai will rest on him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and power, the spirit of knowledge and fearing God. He will be inspired by fearing Adonai. He will not judge by what his eyes see, or decide by what his ears hear, but he will judge the impoverished justly. He will decide fairly for the humble of the land. He will strike the land with a rod from his mouth, and slay the wicked with a breath from his lips. Justice will be the belt around his waist, faithfulness the sash around his hips.
The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard lie down with the kid, calf, young lion, and fattened lamb together, with a little child to lead them. Cow and bear will feed together, the young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. An infant will play on a cobra's hole, a toddler put his hand in the viper's nest. They will not hurt or destroy anywhere on the holy mountain, for the earth will be as full of the knowledge of Adonai as water covering the sea.
On the day the root of Jesse, which stands as a banner for the peoples, the Goyim, will seek him out, and the place where he rests will be glorious. On that day Adonai will raise his hand again a second time, to reclaim the remnant of his people, to remain from Asher, Egypt, Patros, Ethiopia, Iliam, Shinar, Hamat, and the islands in the sea.
He will host a banner for the Goyim, assemble the dispersed of Israel, and gather the scattered of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Ephraim's jealousy will cease. Those who harass Judah will be cut off. Ephraim will stop envying Judah, and Judah will stop provoking Ephraim. They will swoop down on the flank of the Philistines to the west. Together they will pillage the people to the east. They will put out their hand over Edom and Moab, and the people of Gammon will obey them. Adonai will dry up the gulf of the Egyptian sea. He will shake his hand over the Euphrates River to bring a scorching wind, dividing it into 7 streams, and enabling people to cross dry shod. There will be a highway for the remnant of his people who are still left from Asher, just as it was for Israel when he came out from the land of Egypt.
On that day you will say, I thank you, Adonai, because although you were angry at me, your anger is now turned away, and you are comforting me.
See, God is my salvation. I am confident and unafraid. For Yah, Adonai is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation.
Then you will joyfully draw water from the springs of salvation. On that day you will say, give thanks to Adonai, call on his name, make his deeds known among the peoples, declare how exalted is his name. Sing to Adonai, for he has triumphed. This is being made known throughout the earth. Shout and sing for joy, you who live in Zion. For the Holy One of Israel is with you in his greatness.
Then please turn to page 1431, and we'll read 1 Corinthians 10:1 through 13. For brothers, I don't want you to miss the significance of what happened to our fathers. All of them were guided by the pillar of cloud, and they all passed through the sea. And in connection with the cloud and with the sea, they all immersed themselves into Moses. Also, they all ate the same food from the Spirit, and they all drank the same drink from the Spirit. For they drank from a Spirit-sent rock, which followed them, and that rock was the Messiah. Yet with the majority of them, God was not pleased, so their bodies were strewn across the desert.
Now these things took place as a prefigurative historical events, warning us not to set our hearts on evil things as they did. Don't be idolaters, as some of them were. As the Tanakh puts it, the people sat down to eat and drink, then got up to indulge in revelry. They let us not engage in sexual immorality, as some of them did, with the consequence that 23,000 died in a single day. And let us not put the Messiah to the test, as some of them did, and were destroyed by snakes. And don't grumble, as some of them did, and were destroyed by the destroying angel.
These things happened to them as prefigurative historical events, and they were written down as a warning to us who are living in the end times. Therefore, let anyone who thinks he's standing up be careful not to fall. No temptation has seized you beyond what people normally experience, and God can be trusted not to allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear. You can't be tempted beyond what you can bear. On the contrary, along with the temptation, he will also provide the way out, so that you will be able to endure. And then we turn to page 1461, and we'll read Ephesians 4:1 through 32.
Ephesians 4. Therefore I, the prisoner, united with the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called.
Always be humble, gentle, and patient, bearing with one another in love, and making every effort to preserve the unity of the Spirit gives you through the binding power of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as when you were called to one hope. And there is one Lord, one trust, one immersion, and one God, the Father of all, who rules over all, works through all, and is in all.
Each one of us, however, has been given grace to be measured by the Messiah's bounty. This is why it says, after he went up into the heights, he led captivity captive, and he gave gifts to mankind. Now this phrase, he went up, what can it mean if not that he first went down into the lower parts, that is, the earth? The one who went down is himself the one who also went up, far above all the heavens, in order to fill all things. Furthermore, he gave some people as emissaries, some as prophets, some as proclaimers of the good news, and some as shepherds and teachers. Their tasks is to equip God's people for the work of service that builds the body of the Messiah, until he will arrive at the unity implied by trusting and knowing the Son of God at full manhood, at the standard of maturity set by the Messiah's perfection.
We will then no longer be infants tossed about by the waves and blown along by every wind of teaching, at the mercy of people clever in devising ways to deceive. Instead, speaking the truth in love, we will in every respect grow up into him who is the head, the Messiah. Under his control, the whole body is being fitted and held together by the support of every joint, with each part working to fulfill its function. This is how the body grows and builds itself up in love.
Therefore I say this, indeed, in union with the Lord, I insist on this. Do not live any longer as the pagans live, with their sterile ways of thinking. Their intelligence has been shrouded in darkness, and they are estranged from the life of God because of the ignorance in them, which in turn comes from resisting God's will. They have lost all feeling, so they have abandoned themselves to sensuality, practicing any kind of impurity, and always greedy for more. But this is not the lesson you learned from the Messiah. If you really listened to him and were instructed about him, then you learned that since what is in Yeshua is truth, then so far as your former way of life is concerned, you must strip off your old nature, because of your old nature is thoroughly rotted by its deceptive desires. You must let your spirits and minds keep being renewed and clothe yourselves in the new nature created to be godly, which expresses itself in the righteousness and holiness that flows from the truth.
Therefore, stripping off falsehood, let everyone speak truth with his neighbor, because we are intimately related to each other as parts of a body. Be angry, but don't sin. Don't let the sun go down before you have dealt with the cause of your anger. Otherwise, you leave room for the adversary.
The thief must stop stealing. Instead, he should make an honest living by his own efforts. This way, he will be able to share with those in need.
Let no harmful language come from your mouth. Only good words that are helpful in meeting the need, words that will benefit those who hear them. Don't cause grief to God's Holy Spirit, for he has stamped you as his property until the day of final redemption. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, violent assertiveness, and slander, along with all spitefulness. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, and forgive each other, just as in the Messiah God also forgiven you. And then we go to page 1518. We'll read 1 Peter 3, 8 through 22.
Peter 15:18.
3:8.
3:8. Okay. Finally, all of you, be one in mind and feeling. Love as brothers, and be compassionate and humble-minded, not repaying evil with evil or insult with insult, but on the contrary, with blessing. For it is to this that you have been called, so that you may receive a blessing. For whoever wants to love life and see good days must keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Turn from evil and do good. Seek peace and chase after it. For Adonai keeps his eyes on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of Adonai is against those who do evil things.
For who will hurt you if you become zealous for what is good? But even if you do suffer for being righteous, you are blessed. Moreover, don't fear what they fear or be disturbed, but treat the Messiah as holy, as Lord in your hearts, while remaining always ready to give a reasoned answer to anyone who asks you to explain the hope you have in you, yet with humility and fear, keeping your conscience clear, so that when you are spoken against, those who abuse the good behavior flowing from your union with the Messiah may be put to shame. For if God has in fact willed that you should suffer, it is better that you suffer for doing what is good than for doing what is evil.
For the Messiah himself died for sins once and for all, a righteous person on behalf of unrighteous people, so that he might bring you to God. He was put to death in the flesh, but brought to life by the Spirit. And in this form he went and made a proclamation to the imprisoned spirit. To those who were disobedient long ago, in the days of Noah, when God waited patiently during the building of the ark, in which a few people, to be specific 8, were delivered by means of water. This also prefigures what delivers us now, the water of immersion, which is not the removal of dirt from the body, but one's pledge to keep a good conscience toward God, through the resurrection of Yeshua the Messiah. He has gone into heaven and is at the right hand of God, with angels, authorities, and powers subject to him. Thank you, Father God, for a great Shabbat. I'm sorry I have carpal tunnel today, and it's really causing me a lot of issues, but I know God's my healer, and he will heal me as I'm asking in this prayer. Please, God, we humble ourselves before you. Thank you for helping us to get your word out. I know every word that is spoken by you matters.